Have you ever heard the phrase, do it afraid? And then you've done that, and all that you ended up with was more terror? You see, yes, you need to do it, but you don't need to do it afraid, because it's not a matter of reaching a place where you have the absence of fear. It's the fact that you need the presence of support in your life, of a community that is here for you to help you so that you can do it. You can do it afraid, but you do it powerfully, using that fear as something that empowers you versus something that triggers your flight mechanism and causes you to run away terrified and scared. Let's talk about that today. Hi, my name is Steve Kidd. I'm a third generation minister, an international best-selling author of 39 books and counting. I help folks write, publish, market their books to bestseller, and everything that goes beyond that. I've worked with over 5,000 people doing that. But over the course of the last 40 years, you name it in the marketing space, we've absolutely done it. Because what I'm really here to do is help you find that powerful clarity. I am your transformational architect that's going to allow you to get clear and be in a safe place that you can make the impact that you're meant to make. Because yes, I know, absolutely, I get it. I'm in the same place myself. We all are. I know you want and need to make the money, but I also know that those things that you really do, you would do them for no money. It's just the practical realities of the world that we live in, that, you can't do something for the no money and have, your bill collectors just be okay because they love putting on your electricity for no money. I mean, they don't do it because they're doing it for no money, right? They do it because you're going to pay them. And if you don't pay them, they stop doing it, right? And so that's just the real world we live in. But I know that you absolutely, positively do want to make that level of impact in the world. And I know that a lot of times it's just scary. It can be, in fact, downright terrifying to reach out beyond yourself, reach out into an area where you've been burnt before, where you've met the fear face to face and pretty much felt like you've lost. I live in the middle of nowhere, and nobody ever drives by my house. The train kind of is off in the distance and you hear it go by sometimes. But it's ironic, and that one does normally come through at noon. But it's ironic that here we are sitting here while we're starting to do our live, and that's when somebody comes through. It's the way things are. And we can allow that to frustrate us. We can allow that to be one of the things that triggers us. And I've been in these places. Okay, so I'm really just picking on me. I'm not picking on you at all. And we can allow it to blow us out. We can let the phone ring and then be like, oh my gosh, there goes the phone again. Messages happen. The volume button on your phone breaks so that you can't turn up or down the volume of your phone without using basically the end of a USB cord to kind of reach in there and push it. All those kind of things. And they can be very triggering. And if we have enough trauma in our life, we can really get in a very horrible fight or flight, can't say that phrase today, space in life. And it's very easy to do, very easy place to fall into. I even actually got to the point, and then when you throw in the things that we do to cope, caffeine or other types of substances. I personally, my quote unquote drug of choice was Mountain Dew. Back in the day when all the kids were home, and especially when I was a single parent, everybody knew. If it came my birthday, Christmas, whatever, if you wanted to buy dad a gift, Father's Day, any of those kind of things, just go and buy dad, anywhere from a big gulp to, a 24 pack of Mountain Dew. And, it was a total score. And The problem with caffeine when when you're doing a lot of it is that it affects your adrenal glands. I didn't know any of this at the time. I learned it the hard way. It affects your adrenal glands, and one of two things happens. Either you'll get to a place, and I still experienced this one. It happened much later. You get to a place where it's really difficult for your body to produce the adrenaline that it needs in times like when you're exercising or when you're afraid, because it's blown out. It doesn't produce it properly, or it doesn't produce any, and it's easy to get to there. Yeah, if you've learned it the hard way, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the other option is also where it just goes crazy, and like, name something really small, a pen drops on your desk and your adrenaline gland kicks in and starts shooting adrenaline into your system, and you're just all, and you're not scared. You're not, I mean, I'm not talking about PTSD, which is a totally different situation. I'm talking about you don't have any of those fight or flight. You're not having flashbacks or trauma experience or anything like that. You just simply have a broken adrenal gland, and it's squirking out adrenal juice into you, adrenaline, and in the middle of absolutely literally nothing, you're just, and yes, you can do that with a salt packet felt. Yeah, there you go. There's something really traumatizing, right? And yet, your adrenal glands go, and then you're just shaking and you're not scared. You're not like, oh my gosh, the salt packet is, alive and it's going to come attack me. I mean, and I'm not picking on people who are having that. I'm trying to show you the difference of the fact that you don't have any of those kind of responses to it. It's just purely the adrenaline glands is just blown out, and it just squirks adrenaline whenever it feels like it, at the worst sort of times, and never in the times when you need it. And if you do that long enough, if you live in that space long enough, you will get to the point where it's broken and it just doesn't really pretty much do anything. And that can be very difficult, when you do things like I'm trying to do where you're losing weight or things like that. And you don't have that extra go-go juice when you start, exercising or things like that to step you up to the next level, and so you just push through to the point of absolute exhaustion. And of course, losing the weight has really totally helped that a lot because, there's less I have to push around. When you're 460 pounds, there's a lot to push around. When you're 400, there's still a ton to push around. At 280, I'm not saying that, I'm in the picture of health and, hey, everybody look exactly like me and, let's all be 280. I've still got somewhere between 60 and 100 pounds that I'm going to release, not lose, because if I lose them, I might find them. And they're not needed anymore. And slowly my systems are healing. And it's fun to be able to not have to take high blood pressure medicine and to have your A1C be below a diabetic level. When it didn't do that, even when I went totally off of Mountain Dew and was off of all soda for, 4 or 5 years, I still had those elevated levels, not real high, but above the 100 space that you're, if you do the little pinpricky test thingy, or above the 6 if you're doing an A1C test. And so immediately you're classified differently and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. It's nice to be out of that space now because now I have the ability to be able to do an annual checkup with a doctor versus needing to do. I got to the point where I was good enough where I could go every 6 months rather than every 3, and now I'm in a place where I can go every, once a year. And, other than that, unless I get one of those kind of sicknesses that you get where you got to go to see the doctor in between annual checkups, pretty cool stuff. But I know I totally segued and just talked all about me, and I apologize because it's really here. I'm really here about you. 8 pots of coffee a day. Yeah. That's like back in the day when I was when I was the lead singer in a Christian rock band, I used to drink 2 liters of Mountain Dew during the concert. Now, for those of you who are not performers, you probably don't understand the adrenaline level that you get from being in front of a group of people that is cheering for you. Well, I mean, it actually is the same type of response if all of them were booing you. Different thing, but the same adrenaline kind of rush. One's a bad adrenaline rush, one's a good adrenaline rush. But then when you throw 2 liters of Mountain Dew on top of that, yeah, let's just say not good stuff. Um, um, then you find yourself in that spot where you're just totally messed up. Now, you don't have to, caffeine is just such an easy explanation of what I went through. And I tell you the stuff that I've dealt with as an example of what not to do in this particular case. Everybody's good for something. They either are great to show you what to do or they're great to show you what not to do. And in that particular case, it's a great example of what not to do. But we feel that fear. And I've seen far too many coaches and teachers and things like that at least make you feel, and I'm not going to necessarily say that this is what they teach, because I'm giving them a lot of grace, because I know some of them do actually teach this. But they give you the feeling that if you just follow their system, you will be a superhero and the fear will be gone and you can approach the stage, the being interviewed, the, whatever it might be. I mean, it could be something as simple as, regularly emailing people or what have you. The ability to ask a closing question in a sales call. Not from a demanding, pushy kind of standpoint, but just simply making the offer kind of a deal. And they make us, believe that we can do that completely fearlessly, unafraid. I'm here to tell you something. And I don't care who it is. Oprah, Tony, Dean Gracioso, insert whoever you want to put in here that is your guru. And you could go in the Christian space, John Maxwell. You could talk about people that are kind of somewhere in the middle, like Les Brown, and in all of those cases, the truth of the matter is the fear never leaves. You don't want the fear to leave. I can tell you as a professional performer, you don't ever want that gut check to go away. And you can get to the place, you could learn the skill well enough that you have that level of arrogance, which is really what it is, that allows you to go out on the stage without that gut check of fear, that, what if I stumble? What if I fall? That, what if they do boo me? What if this is? I see it with my authors where, the night before your book comes out, they're like, yeah, I know Steve's done 5,000 of them with 100% success, but what if I'm the one that doesn't become a bestseller? It's not a matter of, that I have a guarantee that if I didn't make you a bestseller, I'd give you your money back. Because if you didn't become a bestseller in the first couple of days, I know all kinds of tricks and you will become a bestseller. Absolutely. 100% success doing that. That's why, though I have the promise, it always feels hollow for me to even say it. And people keep telling me I need to say more about it. And I always shy away from it because it just seems so matter-of-factly. Remember, I'm always telling you, that thing that seems easy to you is the very exact thing that somebody needs. And in that particular case, when you start talking guarantees, people really feel comfortable holding on to their guarantee. It's like, I got a guarantee here, But there's that fear. And like you said, you can reach that level of arrogance where you can, go out and do it totally under your own power without that. And I'm going to tell you honestly, that gut check, that fear, that check of who are you to do this, that's a spiritual situation in a good way. God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. I'm not here to preach at you or proselytize you or any of those kind of things. Anybody that knows me knows I'm really not that way, not even, not even in, when I'm preaching in church. But that is something greater than you, whatever, however you want to define it, that is reminding you that the world is spinning without you thinking about having to have to do it. The sun came up this morning, not because you willed it, but because something, whether you want to call it a system or science or God or whatever you want to call it, the definition of that isn't what it is. It's the understanding and the acceptance of the fact that you're not the it. You're not the end all be all. And that gut check, that fear that you feel is actually a sign that you're healthy, that you're A, not a sociopath, because sociopaths don't have those. B, you're not a narcissist, because narcissists don't have those. Actually, I found out that narcissism and sociopathy are actually very, very closely related. They're almost exactly the same thing. One is a mental condition and one is more of a learned pattern behavior. That was something you didn't need to know at all, but I just spewed knowledge on you anyway, because that's how I roll. That ego, we want to have a good capability. We don't need to be just hating ourselves. But we also do want to listen to that voice that reminds us. Because then we put ourselves in service rather than in the chasing of our own glory. Do you understand the difference between those two? When you step out on stage or when you talk to somebody one-on-one, remember we've got our 3 C's: connect, consistently, clarity. Connection, consistency, clarity, right? Connection is that heart condition. And whether you're talking one-on-one, whether you're talking an email you write, a landing page you create, an interview you do on a podcast, or you're talking to tens of thousands of people all at once, that is the heart condition that's going to make the difference. When your heart is in the right place, when you are wanting to reach the people, is the first step in being able to reach the people. You see, your clarity doesn't come from running through my custom GPT and finding your passion and purpose. We help refine your clarity in those kind of things. When you work with me one-on-one, I can lead you to your clarity. But it all starts from your heartbeat. And let's go to the extreme. If you were a sociopath, meaning you were born with a brain dysfunction that allowed you to not really have any level of empathy whatsoever, it just literally, for whatever genetic malformity happened, you don't have any of it. You don't really experience emotions. Sociopaths can become very, very good at mimicking emotions, but they don't really feel it. Okay? Whereas the narcissist learns, because they deem themselves to be the center of the world, they learn how to turn off all those emotions. See the difference between the two of those? One is something that, even with chemicals and things like that, it can't really be changed. It can be managed, but it is literally the way you were born. The other is a learned pattern behavior. It's a choice. I don't want either of those for you, but I hope that, when you're dealing with people in your life, especially because we talked about narcissists yesterday quite a bit, even though I hadn't intended to, that's where we kind of ended up going. I hope that'll help you be able to see some of the situations with the narcissist. Because the narcissist will tell you, I can't help it. I am just this way. I just don't feel things like that. And you need to understand, when we're talking to the narcissist, we're talking about somebody who does not have a literal, for real chemical imbalance. that is sociopathy. It's a choice. And that's important for us to know, because we then have to make the choice of how we're going to allow ourselves to be treated. So you feel that fear because you're not a narcissist, you're not a sociopath, you're a normal human being. And you get that gut check of, who am I? Because you have that heartbeat. I know you do. I know there are no narcissists, especially after what I just said, that are going to stay on any of my talks ever. I totally turn them off. Yay for me, hooray, good. Because any of us that have had narcissists in our life, we don't want them anyway. But I see you and I know you've got that heart. You want to help people. You have the harsh realities of how to pay your bills and all those kind of things, but your heart just wants to just help people. You may be missing the thing you're supposed to be helping. Remember that thing that we do so well that we discount it? I showed you in my own life how that's been true more often than not. Right? Our heart condition. And that fear is actually a reflection. Because you feel it is one of the reasons why I can say all these incredibly cool things about you. The people that come to me and say, I'm really afraid to do it. The people that come to me and they have the questions of, what if people don't like me? What if this? What if that? I like those people because that tells me that they have the right heart. They're thinking about the other people. Yeah, sure, we are thinking about ourselves and we're expressing the own emotion, our own personal emotions that come up because of our heart condition that makes us want to help people. And I use the phrase heart condition not because like you have AFib or you're having heart attacks or things like that. I'm talking about, your spiritual heart condition, your love of people. So it's okay to feel that fear. Which brings us to the second piece of this. And that's all right, fine. It's okay to feel the fear. The fear is my gut check that puts me, in the space of knowing why I'm here and wanting and being able to help others. Okay, great. That's awesome. But I'm still afraid. What do I do now? I get that gut check and I haven't learned the skill of how to deal with it. And worse than that, I have only experiences of things that have emphasized why that fear is valid. I've had relationships with people that treated me badly. I've been on stage and completely bombed. I've, done things, created programs that didn't sell, written books that weren't, the end all be all that it felt like they were in my life. I've done all of those things, even with all of my books being bestsellers. Bestsellers is a day one launch strategy. I get it. I totally know how you feel. I absolutely do. And here's where the secret comes in. It's not the absence of the fear. It is definitely the presence of that heart condition, but I know you've got that, so we don't have to deal with that today. It's about support. So let's tie how our support, our community, our people that are there holding space for us, the people that are going to, when we choke, when we forget totally what we're saying, they're going to clap for us. They're going to be, yay, hooray. I can't even remember what he does that he messed up in the movie Billy Madison with Adam Sandler, But his two best buddies who are let's face it, they're total losers. All they do is just sit around his house around the pool, getting drunk all the time. That's all they ever do. But the friendship shows up towards the end of the movie because I think it's when he's given his talk about the puppy book, you know, when he gets all done, everybody's kind of like, that really didn't make any sense at all. But his buddy is like, yay, hooray, Billy's the best. That's a supportive community. You need the people that've got your back. That when you fall and literally stumble up the stairs and fall on your back, they're just applauding you. Nobody's had a more interesting entrance onto the stage than what you just pulled off there, buddy. Or they're like, hey, you know how cool it was that you fell coming up the stairs and you still went out on stage and acknowledged it and moved on and did your talk. See, you don't need a community that's going to come in and critique you. You don't need people in your life that are just waiting in the wings, waiting to give you their helpful advice. You need people that have your back. The old phrase, we're the most like the 5 people we spend the most time with, which for some of us is absolutely terrifying. And we reach out a lot to reach and make a different group of 5. And for some of you, it's, the 5 people I spend the most time with are my spouse and my children. So I spend all day eating Cheerios and watching, mind-numbing cartoons. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Absolutely, I get that. And that's why we reach out. And that's why we do things like join visibilityamplifier.com, go to our Visibility Amplifier community, and come and be part of it so that Patricia can be there to give you helpful advice when you ask for it, but have your back even when you didn't even know to ask for it. We were talking about it the other day, about us being, the t-shirt with the stains, which is when you know it's really the world's best mom or the world's best dad. It's when it has a puke stain right on the shoulder that won't wash out. That's the world's best mom. Just saying. The one who the shirt is all, it's like they took an iron and they pressed it and it's all got perfect lines and stuff. And it's still a vivid, bright color of whatever color the shirt is. And there's no wrinkles and no stains, no spit up, no drool. That's the world's most detached mom, not the world's best mom, right? Come on, man, we know. But the community is like that. And we get on lives with each other and we support each other. Or we, I'm here to help you find your clarity. You've got your heartbeat that wants to connect with people. And we can show you how to connect with people. We can show you the statisticals and the practical systems of connecting. You're going to consistently show up as who you are. Consistency really just is a matter of making you consistently be you in front of the people you should consistently be in front of. So we can help you be in a safe space to get clear on who you really are and what you're really meant to do. And then we can all grow together. We can all be Zeraz. Zeraz, the light that transforms the world. Your light that will draw everyone to you. Zeraz. And you can be that. You're already part of it. Just by being here watching, you've already dipped your toe in the pond of our community. We want to invite you to come on. As much as, yes, you can drop the word safe. If you need help getting and feeling safe, do drop the word safe in the comments or in a direct message to me. Let me help you find the things that can create a safe lifestyle, if you will, for you. But what you need to really make that stay safe is you need community. And that's what we're here for. It's not the absence of fear. because you really kind of want the fear. It's the presence of the support. If this resonated with you, let me know. Drop the word support. Join us in the Visibility Amplifier community, visibilityamplifier.com. Give me a great big heart, and I'll know that that means, hey, I'm not really at the place where I'm going to comment yet, but it did resonate with me. I'm here for you. I value you so, so much. You're important, very much so. And I appreciate you being here. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about how safety is going to actually give you back your voice. Because, we're talking about being visible and valuable, and we want to be out and we want to talk, and we feel like our voice was stolen from us. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about how safety and the safe space that we're creating for you is going to help you get back your voice. So today, do go live, do pick up your phone and say, hi, my name is, what I do is, and what I'd just like to talk to you for a few minutes about is today. And just share for a few minutes with people. Do come join us in Visibility Amplifier community. And more than anything, know that you're amazingly incredible, that you're not alone, that even if you don't feel, as I'm always saying, happy, safe, warm, and loved, you are so warmly loved. And we want to help you be happy and to feel safe. And we're here for you. And until we're together again next time, which is, by the way, tomorrow, I hope you have a great week.